Hi everyone, my name is Tosin, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to not go broke trying to be an influencer.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Don't Go Broke Trying. I am your host, Runny. If you are new here, maybe listening for the first time, I am Runny, as I said. And on this podcast, we teach you how to not go broke trying to live your best life. So today, I have a really exciting episode for you. A lot of people actually asked for this. I'm an influencer. A lot of people ask me questions about being an influencer, content creator. So I thought this would be the perfect episode to have for you. Today, we're going to be talking about how to not go broke trying to become an influencer. And I have the amazing, the wonderful, the phenomenal Tosi here to talk to us all. Hi, Tos.
Hi.
How are you?
Was that me? Like all the
It was you. You're that girl. You're actually that girl when it
Thank
comes
you.
to not just content creation, but also the business side of content
Mm,
creation. So thank you for being on the podcast
Thank you for having
today.
me.
Tosi, I'm so excited to have this conversation because I feel like I don't have a lot of friends who are influencers. So
Yeah.
they can't I don't even talk to them about work because there's nothing
Yeah.
to talk about.
It can be a lonely job for
Yeah,
sure.
exactly. It's a lonely job, as you said. But yeah, I'm really excited to talk to you because you don't just know the influencing side, but you also know the business behind it. So it's
Yeah,
gonna
I'm
be
excited. I feel like I don't get to talk as much
yeah.
about the business side.
Yeah.
And each time I have the opportunity, I'm like, oh, I'm geeking. So
Yes.
I love it.
And I had Tosi on my YouTube channel last year, I believe it was, and we
Yeah.
had like a so you want to become a content creator episode, and so many people were like, "We love Tosi, bring her back, bring her back,
Oh,
bring her back."
thank
So I'm
you.
excited to have you back here.
Thank you.
Do you want to introduce yourself to our audience? Tell us a little bit
Yeah, for
about you.
sure. So like she said, my name is Tosin. I moved to Canada 5 years ago.
From
Um,
where?
from Nigeria.
Yeah.
Yeah, I moved from Nigeria and I did start doing influencer marketing back in Nigeria.
Okay.
But to be honest, think looking back, I don't think I knew as much. So now I have like 7 years experience in influencer marketing.
Wow.
I've worked on brands like Coca-Cola, McDonald's, and so many others. You've probably seen, something that I've worked on your screen.
For sure.
And I also run social media for one of the beauty retailers in Canada.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest beauty retailers in Canada. As I said, she is that girl. So I'm really excited to talk to you and learn more about you and the business and the money
Mm,
behind influencing.
money.
Because I know that there's money to be made here,
Yeah.
but a lot of people doubt this.
Mm,
So I'm excited to have this conversation with you. So I always start off with my Rennie rated segment and
okay.
just getting to know what you're really liking right now. What's a product, a service, a song, something that you're liking right now.
Mm, I would say lip gloss.
Okay, which one specifically?
There's this Fenty Beauty.
Ooh, I love it.
I actually think it's a lip oil.
Okay,
Fenty Beauty lip oil in cherry. I don't know the
okay.
actual shade,
Hmm.
but there's this Fenty Beauty lip oil I'm currently loving, and I'm
Yeah,
I'm wearing it every
yeah.
day.
Uh,
So yeah.
yeah. Are you picking another one up during the Sephora sale that's coming up soon?
I don't know. I have so many.
Okay,
So
you don't need it.
yeah.
See, we love a responsible, financially literate
I'm
girl.
trying to, take your tips. I'm trying to work with them.
I love it. Okay, so we just want to give a disclaimer before we start that this is not financial advice. This is just
Mm,
our opinion on these topics. Nobody come sue us. Okay, this is just our our advice. Okay, so we always start with getting to know the real you and like going back to the beginning. So I know it's not really all about your personal life, but I still want to know what
mm.
was your relationship with money growing up? Like, do you remember your first memory of money?
Um, I think my first memory of money was family coming home to our house when
Hmm.
I was growing up, maybe during Christmas or Easter, and they would give me money, and my mom would say, "Oh, bring it, let me keep it for you."
Nigerian child
She's like, "Give me,
trauma.
let me keep it for you,"
Yeah.
and I'll never see the money again.
Yes.
And if I ask her in like 3 months, maybe I just suddenly remember, "Mommy, where's my 15 naira or
Yeah.
25 naira?" She'll say, "Oh, the clothes you're wearing, didn't I didn't I use money to buy them?"
It's like all moms are the same.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
So I think that was my first knowledge or introduction to money. I just saw it as, oh, adults have all the money and
Yeah.
we're kids, they take care of us.
Yeah.
And so that was just all I had in mind until, I think when I was in uni, And I started seeing people doing business to make money. And I went to Babcock University. And if you don't know, you are not supposed to like run a business.
Oh, really?
Well, yes, you're not supposed, except it's registered to the school.
Really?
Yeah, so you're not
Why?
supposed to like sell things. It's a glorified secondary school, basically. So
Shots fired.
shots fired. So you're not supposed to. But I started seeing my friends. So this is funny. They used to Babcock is a very they have so many rules. And even food, you have to get food from the cafeteria. You pay every month for every semester for your food.
Oh,
But people still found a way to bring in food from outside. And
of
so they used
course.
to sell it in the hostels. I think it
Mm.
was 200 or 250. And I was like, okay, let me try this thing. So we tried it. And a couple of times I actually went and I was raking in the money. I was feeding
So were you
myself.
making the food and bringing it?
No, so there's a restaurant outside of school that
Uh,
makes the food.
yeah.
And then we have like, it was like a cartel. It was like we were running a cartel. There
I
were these
ca-
people that would go bring the food.
yeah.
And then we were like the merchants that would sell the food.
Love it. So
You know?
you've been a
So,
hustler from
you
time.
know.
So you basically were starting you had your own business
I
in
had, yeah, basically.
university.
But there's a catch.
Mhm.
I don't know. I don't know if you call it a third sense or if it's just God. After a while, I just felt, I think stop this today. I think they're gonna get caught.
Mhm.
And so I stopped it.
Yeah.
And they got caught that night.
Oh wow. Good for you.
I mean, nothing bad happened to
Yo,
them,
shout out
but
to you for listening to intuition.
I'm a very scared person. I'm just like, you know what? I don't it's better to be safe than sorry.
Yeah.
So I just stopped it. But I made good money. And
Yeah.
I know a lot of people who, took themselves through school
Oh
with that
wow.
business.
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was your first business. And then I guess a bit later on, you became an influencer.
Yeah.
So how did you actually become an influencer? And like what inspired you to become an influencer?
So
And tell us what kind of content do you make as well?
so right now I make beauty, lifestyle, and a bit of influencer tips. But when I started, I actually didn't know there was anything like an influencer or content creator.
Mhm.
So in uni, when I was in I think 100 level, I don't know if they call it first year or I don't know
Yeah.
what they call it in
First year,
Canada.
yeah.
I started a blog because I just had so many thoughts. I was so opinionated. I had so many opinions and I wanted to share them. So
About
I opened about everything in life,
okay.
anything at all.
Okay.
So I opened a blog and I just used to write in it. Sometimes I go back to that blog. I'm like, what was wrong with me? Like, who am I scolding? It was like I was scolding people
Yeah, but
because I just had so much opinions that I would just share them. And my parents are very supportive. So they used to share the links. My dad would
aw,
share on Facebook, share with all his friends.
aw,
And most of my comments were, were his friends and
aw.
my mom's friends.
That's sweet.
And they were just, oh, to see such a smart girl, blah, 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 blah. And that was how it started. And, it just went on till I graduated uni. And then I saw this program online that was hosted by another influencer manager in Nigeria now.
Mhm.
Her name is Alice. Shout out to you, Alice.
Shout out Alice.
So she organized this program and brought a lot of content creators to teach them about content creation.
Mm,
And so that was where I learned that from this blog you can actually make money.
yeah.
And this was in I think 2016 or thereabout. And so I started reading up on it. Oh, this is so fun. People actually, you mean I've been doing all of this for
For
fun?
free.
And the blog was really going places. Brands were calling me to come and eat for free in Nigeria. And I used to go with my parents. I would just go and have fun, eat burgers, take pictures.
Yeah.
But that was when I actually learned that people actually make money.
Mhm,
And because in Nigeria, the only blogger we knew that made money was Linda Ikeji. She
Yeah.
was the only.
Big, huge.
But I'm like,
right?
I don't want to be a gossip blogger. I don't want
Yeah.
to carry, stories that, this is not the kind of blogger I want to be. So that was
Yeah.
how I learned that people could actually make money
Mm.
from the whole blogging thing. And so I started, you can charge 5,000 here, 20,000 there. Like I can't do it for you for free, but
Yeah.
I'll do this. And I always over deliver.
Yeah.
So that was really, I think the first brand I did a campaign for in Nigeria, I think they paid me 20K,
How much is
20,000
20
naira.
How much is 20K in dollars?
Maybe $50, I
Ah,
guess.
But okay, but
Yeah,
it was
I
something.
think so.
I remember when I made my first $100. I was like, "Oh,
Yeah, I was
life is
like,
good."
ooh, I'm on top of the world.
Yeah, so
And yeah, so that was really how I got into influencer marketing.
very cool. I think a lot of people they don't realize that you actually have to, put in the work. It's not just like
Mm.
the second you start, you'll start getting paid.
Yeah.
Well, it works for some people. Like if you go on Love is Blind and then you come out, yeah, the second you start
So, I
content
mean, some people are
creation,
lucky, and
yeah.
I think the aspect of luck is something that people don't talk about when
Mhm.
it comes to content creation or art in general. Like even
Yeah.
as a musician or any arts
Yeah.
related job, luck plays a huge factor because some people don't do any work. They're just pretty, or they just post one thing. Their first video goes viral, and
Yeah.
now brands are reaching out to them. But I can tell you that for majority of content creators,
That's not how it
it's
works.
not like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you started to work on the actual brand side. So how did you transition from, or you do both, but like
Yeah.
how did you start working on the brand side of things?
So in school, I studied mass communication,
Okay.
but at 300 level at third year, we could either specialize in advertising or broadcasting.
Mhm.
Now, funny enough, when I was younger, I wanted to be a broadcaster. So I wanted to be a newscaster. I wanted to be on
Ooh.
TV. So when it was time to specialize, I went to broadcasting. But it's funny now I'm working advertising.
Yeah.
So when we graduated, and I started learning more about influencer marketing, I just felt like for me to really understand the industry, I had to be on the other side.
Mm,
And
smart.
so I started seeking out opportunities to work at agencies. So in Nigeria, I worked for an agency before moving, but it was for like maybe a year. I don't think I got enough experience as I did when I moved to Canada. So when I moved to Canada, I just knew that, I wanted to do something in influencer marketing.
Mhm.
And so I would do a course here, LinkedIn courses, just different courses, just to really understand the industry. I
Mhm.
would watch YouTube videos and things like that. And then, so I came to Canada to study. My first program was in advertising, and the second program was in film, which
Mm.
is funny because people are like, why did you first did broadcasting?
Yeah.
Then you did. But the thing is, advertising teaches you where to place the ad
Mhm.
and how to place the ad, what time to place the ad, but it doesn't teach you how to make the ad.
Mm.
So that's why I went back to study film, because at film school you can see, how they use cameras, how they make the ads, how, everything, all the technical aspects of making
Mhm.
the ad.
Yeah.
So when I graduated from film school, it was in the heat of the pandemic. Like, pandemic just
Yeah.
and I was like, you know what, I was applying to jobs in the film industry, and it was just not, it wasn't coming. And then I said to myself, you know what, I think I should just go back to my first love, which is influencer marketing, anyways.
Mhm.
Like, I was already doing influencer marketing for small businesses and things like that, but I just felt like, I need to be at that side. I need to be on the table where these decisions are actually
Being
happening.
made, yeah.
And I also noticed that there weren't as many black influencer managers and things like that. And it's sad that, we have to make the table ourselves, but it's
Yeah.
sad. But so I networked my way into getting into agencies. So
Mm.
I'd reach out to people, ask questions, and then I got my first job at a PR agency. So they used to do PR and also influencer marketing.
Okay.
All the other PR things, I don't know them.
Yeah.
I was doing them, but they were not entering my head.
So you're
But
an
the
influencer
influencer,
marketer.
but the
Okay.
influencer marketing, I was like always.
Yeah.
So at one point, my boss called me, like, "Is it only influencer marketing you want to be doing?"
So what does it mean? What does that mean? Like what is influencer marketing?
So the whole industry, because I feel like influencer management is an industry on its own in the influencer marketing industry, because it entails so much. It's basically managing communications between the brand and the influencer.
Okay.
So everything that the brand needs or that the influencer needs to communicate with each other goes through the influencer managers.
Okay.
So sometimes, of course, brands reach out to content creators and influencers themselves,
Mhm.
but there's somebody on that brand side that is, in charge of that.
Mhm.
And that's really where influencer managers come in. So I just knew that, influencer marketing and social media is just my thing. I don't
Yeah.
think I need to deceive myself. So after I left that job, all the jobs I was applying for, I would just look at them. If I don't see influencer marketing there, I won't just
Yeah.
bother.
Don't waste your time.
And then I think a month or two after I left that job, I got a job as an actual influencer manager
Mhm.
at an influencer agency. So all the agency does is social media and influencer marketing.
Mhm.
And funny enough, since I came to Canada, I've applied to that job. at least more than 10 times.
Wow. And
And he
you
never
finally,
called me back until that time. So I take it as a sign
yeah.
that that was the time I was ready
Mm-hmm.
for it.
Yeah.
And it's been bliss ever since.
Yeah, I love it for you.
Thank you.
So, okay. So so just to break it down even further, because I'm sure a lot of people don't even know anything about influencers.
Mm,
So as you said, the influencer manager or marketer manages the relationship between the brand and the
the influencer.
influencer. So,
Yeah.
for example, a lot of you know me. I create content about financial literacy. If I want to work with TD Bank, for example, then there is this agency between me and TD Bank. So I actually have never I work with TD Bank and I've never spoken to them.
Mm,
It's always me talking to
yeah.
this marketer or manager from this other agency,
Mm,
right? And they
mm,
manage a relationship. So that's
yeah.
what you see. And then you see the money as well,
Oh,
right?
girl.
you see you see the money,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. So
Yeah.
you see that like you see the deals, and
Mm.
sometimes I'm sure you see deals that are worth your whole salary for the
Yes,
year,
more
right?
than
Yeah.
there was this time my manager was like, "You're on the wrong side of this business. Like,
Yeah.
we should be the influencers because we pay influencers so much money.
Yeah.
We've paid influencers money that was more than my salary, and I'm
Yeah.
just like, really? You mean for one TikTok, we are paying this person this much?"
Yeah.
And sometimes the influencers have the worst attitudes,
Hmm.
and I'm like, "How are you getting these jobs
Yeah.
with this kind of attitude?" But
They
it is
are.
what it is.
I
They're
know,
getting
right?
it.
I
Yeah.
know. And it's a very new industry as well.
Yeah.
But last year, there was a study I saw from DataBridge Market Research, and they said that the influencer marketing platform market, the whole market, was valued at $7.36 billion in 2021, and it's expected to reach $69.92 billion by 2029. And when I saw
Yeah.
that, I was like, oh,
I was even expecting it to be more.
more? Really? That's a
The
lot of
amount of
money.
money that moves in the
Wow.
industries, you cannot fathom it. Like, it's mind blowing.
Yeah.
Like, there was this, I think my light bulb moment was when we paid an influencer 45,000 US dollars for a TikTok.
For one TikTok.
Yes, for one TikTok. And I'm like,
So
are you kidding me? Like, I
yeah.
kept looking at it like maybe they missed,
A
maybe they
zero?
added two zeros by mistake or 1 0 by mistake. But no, like they
Yeah.
actually sent an invoice. Although she has a manager, she has an agent that manages her. But I mean, even
That's a
though,
lot of
like,
money.
that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I've seen influencers of the same kind of size
Not
or
sure.
that create the same kind of content, not charging that amount of money because they just don't know that it's
It's out there.
attainable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's exactly what we're gonna talk about in this episode, like how to charge and things like that. But how can you talk about how influencers actually make money? Like how do we go about making money as an influencer?
So there's so many ways you can make money. I'm sure Rennie has mentioned some of them in
Yeah.
some of her videos.
But let's go through them in depth. I want
In
everyone
depth.
to be like to
So
know.
brand deals is usually where the bulk of the influencers money comes from.
Mhm.
But I'll touch on that last because there's so much that goes into it. But the other ways, number one is affiliate income.
Mhm.
So the brand pays you a certain percentage of every person that buys through your code or your link and things like that. And people actually make a lot of money from affiliate
A lot of
marketing.
money.
And it's very funny. I used to hate affiliate marketing
Yeah.
until I worked with one brand and I actually they started paying me every month. I'm like, you mean this
Yeah.
actually works?
And the good thing about it, it's kind of like passive income.
Yeah, you're
So
not thinking about
yeah,
it.
you don't
It's
have to
just
post every month
happening.
even
Yeah,
about
like
it.
there's so many TikTok influencers that all they do is
Yeah.
promote Amazon links and things
Yeah,
like
they have
that.
like
And
Amazon storefronts.
yeah, and they make so much money from it.
Yeah. So for that one, I would just say it's like, for example, anytime you see an influencer and they're like, click the link in my bio to buy this
Yeah.
product, it's because they're probably getting a commission from that
from
product.
it.
And
Yeah.
the commission doesn't have to be a lot. Like it depends on the product, but some commissions can be like $5. I have gotten commissions of up to $70 per
That's a big
acquisition.
one.
Right? Financial services pay very well.
Yeah.
I will say that. But like in clothing and stuff, I would say it's lower. It's on the lower
Lower
end.
end.
But still, imagine like 100 people are buying that product just because I wore it.
Yeah, like
that,
you talk about it anyway, but now
Yeah,
you're getting
getting
passive
paid.
income from
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Another way is to sell courses
Mhm.
or ebooks. If you are an expertise, I want to believe that you're an expert. I always recommend that if you're an influencer, be an expert in whatever field you choose.
Mhm.
You can create content and just put it in an ebook or in a course and sell that. You can also do consultations. So, for example, Rennie does consultations
Yeah.
for like small businesses,
Mhm.
content creators, and things like that. So
Yeah.
you're selling your expertise.
Expertise. Yeah.
So you just have to find a way to package your expertise and experience into a product.
Yeah.
And then back to brand
Mhm.
deals, which is
The
where
big
the big
one.
one, which is
Yeah.
where the bulk of the money comes from. So brands pay you to talk about their product or their services for per deliverable. So for example, they will tell you, oh, we want you to create a TikTok and a reel and we'll pay you X amount of dollars.
Mhm.
Now, where a lot of content creators leave money on the table is they don't ask questions. They just say, oh, you want to pay me $500 for a TikTok and reel? Okay,
Let's do
where's the
it.
contract? Some
Yeah.
don't even know there's a contract. Let's do it. When do you want me to post the video? They're so excited.
Mhm.
But there's so many questions that you should ask. Now, you should ask, okay, you want a reel and a TikTok. First, you should ask what their budget is.
Yes, always. So okay, that's the first tip. First tip.
So, first tip, ask them what their budget is because sometimes their budget is more than you even want to charge.
Yeah.
This might seem like, oh, are you trying to be shady? But who doesn't want to make money?
It's true. It's just like when we negotiate a salary, you always want to say what is the budget for this role?
Yeah.
Because if you say what you actually want, it could be way less than they were even offering.
Yeah,
It's
and what they
like-
were offering.
and
So
then, yeah, and
ask
then-
them what their budget is.
Mhm.
I also think that every deliverable should have a charge.
Yeah.
So if you want a story, it should have its own rate. If you want a reel, it should have its own rate. Every deliverable should have a rate.
Always.
Now you can offer a package deal, but also make sure that it makes sense for you. So, for example, one negotiation tip I always give people is to give a packaged rate. So, for example, a brand comes to you and says, oh, I want a reel and a TikTok, and I want to pay you $1,000, for example. Well, tell them, okay, I'll give you a reel, I'll give you a TikTok, I'll give you shorts, and I'll give you stories. Pay me $4,000. So now it looks like they're getting more for their buck. Like, I would have still posted it on
On all the
stories anyway because
Yeah,
it's my
that's true.
content.
That's true.
I will still post it there, you know. And if I post something on my feed, I still want to post it on my stories because there
Yeah.
are some people that watch only stories.
Yeah.
And if you don't put it there, they don't know
They
you've
never
posted
see
it on your
it.
feed.
Yeah.
I'm gonna post it there anyways.
Good
But now
point.
I'm getting paid to do it. So
Damn.
you're giving them
See, you're even giving me tips because I didn't remember. I didn't realize.
yeah,
that.
so now you're giving them more for their money.
Mhm.
Another negotiation tactic is to make it seem like, so for example, if a reel and a TikTok and story, your rate amounts to 5,000, and they say, oh, what's your rate? You say, okay, normally I would charge a reel for like 5,000 and a TikTok for this, but I'll give you the three for 5,000.
Yeah.
So it makes it, oh, okay, she really likes us, but
Yeah.
you know. And so I think finding a way to give value, but also making the brand feel like, oh, we are getting, you know,
good
it's
deal.
valuable. It's the value is equal to the amount of money that we are paying.
Yeah.
And also be a good partner
Mm.
because there are so many content creators that burn bridges. If you create content today and we pay you, but you were a hassle to work with,
We're not coming back.
brand is not coming back.
Yeah.
You know, your manager or your agent also has to be good to work with because if the brand finds it really difficult to work with your manager, they're not going to come back because you know, our manager, she's a nice person, but our manager is stressful. I don't want to go through that stress. I'd rather go with somebody that's probably not as talented, probably has less quality, but won't stress me.
Yeah.
And I'll probably pay her way less than I'll pay you.
Wow.
So why am I stressing myself? So
Yeah.
it's really a bunch of so many little things that come together to really form your brand.
Yeah.
I feel like people see content creators as, oh, they're having so much fun,
Yeah.
but there's so much that goes into it.
Yeah, and I don't think people realize it's actually hard work. Like it's
Yeah.
actually a business.
Your brain is working 24/7.
Right. Yes, your fave is working 24/7, especially if they're a
Yeah.
full-time content creator like I am. Like
Yeah.
this is my life. Like the whole
I
thing.
actually think it's even better for you
What?
than if you had a 9 to 5. I feel like if you had a 9 to 5 and you're also managing a content creation business,
Yeah.
it's like you don't have a life.
Yeah,
like I'm
yeah.
struggling.
Oh yeah, oh
I'm
yeah,
fighting
oh
for
yeah,
my
of
life.
course. No. But when I
Yeah.
had a 9 to 5, I found that I was more organized because I had to be organized. You know, it's like
true.
I could only record on Saturdays, so like I
Yeah.
have to bang out 4 videos. Now I'm like, I want to post a video today. Let me record it today. Let me
Yeah,
edit- you
that's
know,
true,
I'm so
actually.
I'm so much lazier. But yeah, I get
Yeah,
that.
but to be honest, I think putting structures into your day really helps.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you guys for free, Runny is a very organized person.
Yeah.
Like, so So it makes sense
Yeah.
when you see the kind of content she's creating, because she's actually pretty organized. And
Thanks,
I think it will
girl.
save you a lot of stress and a lot of trouble if you put in systems in place
Yes.
to help you, achieve your
Yeah.
work better.
Yeah, if anyone looks at my content in this month of April, you can see that I'm putting out content consistently high quality, and it's because I actually put systems in place this
Yeah.
month. So if you look just from here to last month, you can see there's a big difference in my
Yeah.
content. So
Yeah.
yeah, you're right. You're right. Okay, but okay, so I guess a lot of people are gonna listen to this that have no idea about content creation at all, and they're just maybe curious about it. So I want to know, why do brands even pay content creators? Like, why are they giving us money? Because I think
Um,
people think, oh, they're just throwing away money. I've never bought something an influencer recommended. So why do you think people are paying influencers?
every to be honest, every influencer is different,
Hmm.
and every goal of the brand is different.
Ding, ding,
So
ding.
really it depends on what the goal of the brand
Mhm.
is. If they are trying to do an awareness campaign, for example, they can't pay every influencer. There are specific influencers that are good for awareness.
And what does awareness mean for
Um,
someone who wouldn't know
Awareness just means, oh, I just want to know. I just want people to know that
about my
this
brand?
brand exists. I just
Mhm.
want people to know that I have a brand. You can buy if you want, it's not necessary, but I just want to put word out there so that people know that, oh, brand A exists.
Exactly.
So for something like that, you would look for influencers. Usually influencers with a large following are good for that, because
Yeah.
if you pay someone with like 500,000 followers, for example, of course, I don't think 500,000 people would see it. It
Yeah.
doesn't always work that way, but at least you are sure that a huge chunk of that number would
We'll see
see it.
it.
They may
Yeah.
not buy, but they will see it.
Yeah.
But if you are, going a bit down in there's something called the marketing chain
Yeah.
for people that don't know that. So awareness, consideration and things like that. So if you want people to know a bit more about your brand, you just don't want it to be, oh, they just know my brand, but you want to start solidifying your presence in the minds of people,
Hmm.
then you will go for an influencer that has a strong community.
Yeah.
Which brings us to why brands are paying influencers. They pay influencers for various reasons. So, for example, some content creators are really good with, like, their audience is very
Engage.
engaged.
Hmm.
So they have an engaged community. So the brand, sometimes the influencer doesn't have great quality videos. The videos don't look great. You can't post them on anywhere aside from an iPhone 6, but their audience is engaged.
Yes. Yes.
There are some people that they just woke up, they still have like crusty looking face, and they say, guys, go and buy products F. Oh, you
And they'll
guys.
buy.
Randy said we should buy Product F. Let's go and buy it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the kind of audience that you have.
Yeah. And
You have a
I
really
love y'all.
engaged audience. But the good thing about you is you just do not have that only the engaged audience. You also give great quality content, which is another reason. There are some influencers that their audience may not be the best, but
Yeah.
their quality is so good. You can
Mhm.
replicate it on a billboard. You can use it on TV. You can
Mm.
use it in so many different ways, and you get so much value from it.
Yeah.
So that could be it. Some influencers are being paid for their expertise. So, for example, I'm looking for a finance creator in Mississauga. The only one I know is Rennie, so I'll pay Rennie. And even though she has maybe 500 followers, but she's an expert in that field,
Mhm.
I'd rather pay her than someone that has 500,000 followers but doesn't know so much about finance,
Yeah.
because her 500 followers are more likely my audience
Yeah.
than the other person.
Yeah.
So brands pay for some personality also matters. Some people just have a really great personality.
Mhm.
There are some people that I come across on TikTok. I'm like, I'm not buying what she's selling. I don't need it. But I
Yeah.
love the way she talks. I love her
Yeah.
energy on camera. So brands pay for that. So
Mhm.
every influencer is different. Figuring out why you stand out, what is the reason why brands are coming to you is what matters. And it takes time for you to learn that. Sometimes you don't even know. The brand see it, but you do not see it.
Yeah.
So it's every influencer is different, and you just have to figure out what makes you stand out.
Yeah, and I think people don't realize that influencers have built this community. Well, some of them have built this community around them, and the brand is trying to tap into that
Yeah.
community, right? Like for me, as you said, I create content about financial literacy primarily, and like I'm also Black, I'm also a woman,
Mm.
I'm also Nigerian. So if you are trying to reach the Black community in Canada
Yeah.
and you are a financial services product, who else are you really gonna
You
go to?
go. Yeah.
Like, you can go to lifestyle creators, of course. You can go to other people, but if you really want someone who's extremely niche and an
Yeah.
audience that's engaged, you'll come to me. Which is
Yeah.
why I feel like I can charge pretty high rates compared to a lot of other people because it's like I'm very niche, right?
Yeah, like there are not many financial literacy
Exactly.
content creators.
Yeah.
So you can charge a premium
Yeah.
as opposed to a beauty content creator. Every
Yeah.
five influencer is a beauty is
Yeah.
a beauty content
A lot of
creator.
people
Yeah.
sent questions about this, and then they actually were like, "Oh, the niche I want to go into is so
Mm,
saturated." So I guess we'll talk about that a
yeah.
bit later. But yeah, I think it all depends on, I guess, the value that you're adding, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and the
Like
brand,
the
what the
value.
brand is looking for out of your relationship.
Yeah.
And as you said, some creators have. I really want to harp on that point. Some creators have really great content, but maybe not the audience to support it.
Yeah.
But there's this thing called
You
UGC,
see.
right? Which is user generated content, where you can create the content and it doesn't mean I have to post it on my page. I can
Yeah.
also like sell that content to the brand, and then the
Brand.
brand can use it, right? So I would say there's lots of ways to become a content creator. It's not just that you have to have 500,000
So many
followers.
ways. Like I feel like every day there's something new
Yeah.
that you can do in the influencer marketing industry to make money. Like UGC has always been around,
Hmm.
which is funny because the actual UGC wasn't supposed to be paid for. The concept of
Oh,
UGC
really?
wasn't supposed to be paid for. UGC is user generated content,
Oh,
which
yeah.
means people that are using it. So, for example, if I go to the store and I buy something, I just like it. I just word of mouth, I just tell somebody about it, or I
Hmm.
just post about it. And the brands usually what they used to
Repost.
do is just repost it.
Yeah.
But for some reason, it became a thing. And what people are actually calling UGC is just paid content
Yeah.
that the brand is using on their own channel. That's what it
Mm.
used to be called.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, people
Rebranding.
rebranded it and called it UGC. And
Yeah.
now everybody on TikTok
I
is a
know.
UGC
Literally, if
creator.
you type in UGC creator on TikTok, you'll just see
There's so
bear
many. It's
creators.
another industry on its own in the influencer marketing
Mm,
industry,
yeah.
and I think it's going to be the next big thing.
Yeah.
The way I see it.
I wish I
Yeah,
get into it. A brand recently asked me to create some content for them, and they'll put it in like a course that they're gonna sell. And I was
mm.
like, interesting concept. I'd never have
Charge
to
very
post
well for
about
it.
it.
I hope
What?
you're charging very well for
I
it,
like they
because they're putting it in a
yeah,
course, and
they can't afford me,
they're going to be
unfortunately.
paying. How many people going to be paying for that
Yeah, they
course?
can't afford me. I told them my rate.
No.
They can't afford me, unfortunately. But it is what it is.
Okay.
Okay, so another thing that we hear or that I struggle with when it comes to content creation is payments.
Mm.
Okay, getting paid by these brands. So actually, before we get into that, how do we charge brands? Like, are there? I know we charge the fee to create the content, but what else are we looking at when we charge?
Okay, so first thing is there is no standard rates.
Mhm.
There are just rates that you feel like you should not be charging anything less than this
Mhm.
based on experience, really.
Okay.
But one thing I always tell new content creators is to ask questions. Ask other content creators.
Yes.
People like you that have gone ahead, a couple of years ahead in the industry, ask them, when you were this at this stage, what were you charging
Mhm.
for? How were you charging? I think that a lot of content creators fail to network. And that
Yeah.
was an issue I had when I started
Mm.
because I didn't want it to be like I'm farming people. I don't I hate insults. So I don't want anybody to be like
Yeah.
to be like, who is this one? I
Yeah.
always want it to the value for them to get value. And if I feel like I don't know what value I can offer this person, I will just let it go. But I've learned over time that everyone has value to give.
Mhm.
You just have to know how to give it and when to. So network with
Networking.
other people, ask questions, ask them, and more often than not, if you ask five content creators, you at least get three
Mhm.
that would answer you. Because I don't think there's any industry that I've seen where that people are really supportive, like the influencer marketing
Yeah,
industry.
because they're not many
Because
of
there are not
us.
many.
Yeah.
People they will mostly answer you, except they don't see it.
Yeah.
Most of the time, they will answer.
Yeah.
So ask those questions. Now, other things that you should charge for aside from your base rates.
Okay, so we have the
So
base rate.
you should have a base rate, and that base rate is what you're asking people, what you're asking your other content creators. Like, oh, for a reel, for example, how much would you charge, or how much were you charging? Maybe they tell you this is just a vague number, maybe $500. Okay, now with $500 in your mind, now you go back to the brand and ask them, do you need usage rights for
What
this content?
what's
Now,
that?
what is usage rights? Usage rights, you are giving the brand the rights to use that content
Mm.
in sponsored ads on their page or in newsletters, on billboards. You have to ask them, do you need rights to use this content somewhere else
Mhm.
and where? Because if you are going to use my content on billboard,
Yeah.
I should be paid
The,
more than it would be if you are using my content just on your
the
page.
the where is key,
The where is
okay?
very
Because
key.
one day you'll just be driving, see yourself on a billboard,
Yeah,
and
like
you're like,
I know someone who just saw her face in a newsletter.
and you're like, I only pay you. They only paid me.
I don't even think they paid that.
Uh,
They only sent her PR.
uh,
They only sent her PR and she talked about it. And next thing, she's seen her face in a newsletter.
Nonsense.
You should be paid for that because now my
100%.
face is going to. I don't know how many people are on your email list.
Mhm.
Thousands of people have seen my face endorse your brand. Maybe I only liked one product.
Yeah.
But now they've seen my face. Now they think I love
Your product.
all your products.
Yeah.
So because the thing is, they're also buying your likeness, they're buying your face, they're buying your entire
Yes,
personality,
very
and they have
true.
to pay for that.
Yeah.
So you need to ask them usage rights. When do you want to use this content? Where? How? And for how long?
Yeah. How long?
For
Yeah.
how long?
Because you'll see 2 years later
Yes,
your
because
pictures.
I I've sent it.
Tell us. We like the juice.
There was a brand that before I started working with them, had paid an influencer, I think $200 or $300, and they had usage rights to that content in perpetuity.
Which means forever.
Perpetuity means forever.
Huh.
So they've paid you $200, and now they have the rights to use that content forever.
And it does. And I think the reason this is so important is because who I am today may not be
Maybe
who I am
tomorrow.
yeah, even in 2 seconds.
What if it's a cannabis brand, but tomorrow I'm giving my life to Christ. Now I don't drink Igbo again. What happens?
I can't. I can't. Like, if, for example, if I work with a brand a year ago, I had like 10,000 followers. Now I have 25,000, and I'm verified, and I've met Justin
And now
Trudeau.
maybe the brand has now messed up, and you don't even use that brand any longer.
Like, I can't be associated with
your
them.
face is still on.
Yeah. So
Highway 27.
Do you even suggest people sign deals in perpetuity?
No,
Yeah.
I don't recommend people sign deals in PEP. We call it PEP, perpetuity.
Pep. I'm learning the influencer marketing terms.
I would advise at least max 2 years
Okay.
at a time.
Yeah.
And then tell
They
them
can
after
renew.
2 years, if you want, come back and we'll renegotiate the terms of the contract.
Mm.
But some brands like to push and
Like
push,
to
but you have
tussle.
to stay on your except they're paying you really well for
Yeah.
it. But to be honest,
Even-
even really well, I don't
even
think
though-
even though because I don't know how much you can pay me for me to allow you to use my likeness forever.
That's like,
I don't know.
Forever's a
Will you pay
long
me
time.
$1 million? Even $1 million.
let's, even if you pass, they can
I
still be
don't know.
using your
You
picture.
get so
Yeah.
for how long is also important. So
Mhm.
that's the first thing. The second thing, or is that the second thing?
So we have the base rate,
Rates,
the usage rights.
Now, exclusivity.
Okay.
Exclusivity means that for a certain period of time, you cannot work with certain brands or certain industries.
Mm.
So, for example, in finance, if you work with Citibank, they don't want you to talk about Scotiabank for
course.
maybe 3 months or maybe 6 months.
Mhm.
Now, in certain industries, it goes to say, like, of course, if I'm recommending TD Bank for you to bank with, and tomorrow I tell you Scotiabank, it looks
Very
funny,
somehow, very
like
somehow, yeah.
But in industry like beauty, for example, everybody knows that you cannot complete a full face
Yeah.
with
this
only one brand.
Yeah.
It's mostly unlikely.
Good point.
So in that kind of industry, their exclusivity terms are usually a bit relaxed. So they might just say, oh, maybe for 1 week, or don't post another brand a day before you post ours and a day after.
Oh, okay.
Those are usually really flexible, and people don't really charge for that. But people charge for anything above a month when they start saying, oh, you can't talk about another brand a month before or after you talk about us. Now you can now start charging for that. And you should ask for how long and what industries, because there are some industries. In fact, I would even say ask for specific brands.
Yeah.
Because sometimes they do exclusivity for adjacent brands. So it might not be in that industry, but it's okay. For example, if they say, oh, we are a shoe company, and we don't want you to talk about a clothing company that also makes shoes.
Very
You know,
specific.
it's very specific. And those are little things that you probably don't think about. But tomorrow they throw you a lawsuit and you're like, oh no, what do you mean? And then they show you it, but it was in your contract and you signed this.
Good
which is
point.
another thing. influencers don't read their
Ah,
contracts.
gosh, I read everything. But before we get into, we're gonna get into contracts in depth.
Yeah.
But okay, so like, for example, and I guess you determine exclusivity and how you charge for exclusivity based on what they're asking for. Like
Yes.
for me, if TD says you cannot work with any financial institution at all, they've killed my
They've
market.
killed your
They've
market.
killed my market.
Charge them 1 million.
Yeah, literally. Like, so like that actually happened with one of my deals. They came with me and said no financial institutions for 3 months, before and after, or no, after working with us. And I was like,
But you're a finance
so no, so I
integrator.
told them, okay, you're gonna pay me $30,000 a month for that for three
Yeah.
months. Like, sure, if you pay me that, I'm good. Like, I'm actually very good with it. Let's do it,
Yeah.
because then it's less work for me. I don't have to work with any brands for
Yeah.
3 months. And they were like, oh, we can't afford that. I'm like, yeah, well, your exclusivity is killing all
Yeah.
my business, right?
Business.
So in that case, they said, okay, only for like the exact service that they do
Mm.
within finance, which is way better for me. And I just charged them like 5K a month for that.
Yeah.
So, and basically, for those who don't know, the reason you're charging them for exclusivity is because you don't, like, again, they're killing your market. Now,
Mm.
if I'm working with TD and Scotiabank reaches out to me, I can no longer, I'm
Yeah.
losing that whole deal. So I
You're
need to
losing
charge
that.
accordingly
Yeah.
for the money that I'm going to lose. But in beauty, as you said, it's really hard to not do any beauty. What? I'm not supposed to do any other beauty
Yeah,
content?
that
Like,
beauty is a very saturated market. Every 5 days, there's a new makeup product, there's a new
yeah,
makeup brand. So the exclusivity terms aren't as
strict as that.
strict.
Yeah.
But for like household brands, yeah, exclusivity can be strict sometimes. So,
Mm.
for example, if you're using a detergent, they can tell you, "Oh, we don't want you to work with another detergent
Yeah.
brand for like next month or next 2 months." It still makes sense,
Yeah, that makes sense.
because yeah, you can wash your clothes with
Yeah.
just one brand, but
Yeah.
you can't exactly
Do a
do your
full
makeup
face.
with
Yeah.
just one brand or wear only one brand of clothing
Yeah. For a whole
for
month,
a
three
whole
months.
month,
Yeah.
3 months.
Yeah.
It's kind of that's ridiculous.
Yeah, and I guess you have to ask yourself, is this my niche, right? Like, for
Mm.
example, if you're a lifestyle creator, or say you're a beauty creator, and then a dog food brand wants to work with you,
Yeah,
like,
it's like
and they said, oh, it's only you can't work with other dog food brands. Sure, that's
sure,
fine,
like
that's calm, but
the,
then
the possibility that another dog brand will reach out is
very slim.
very
So
slim,
yeah,
but still ask,
yeah,
because you never know. It could be somewhere in the contract that you didn't even think or you
yeah,
didn't read.
very
So
true.
ask and still read your contract.
Yeah.
So we've covered your base rates, exclusivity, usage rights.
For exclusivity, how do you charge? Is it 15% of the total, or like is it just depending on
Yeah,
what
it
they're
just
asking?
depends. I
Yeah.
would say at least 30% is a good number.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, 30%. For usage rights, people usually do 30, either between 30 to 50% of
Wow. See me
the
undercharging.
I
Okay,
mean,
so
if your base rate is already a
yeah, my
lot,
base rate's a lot.
yeah, if your base rate is already a lot, you can like
Lower it a bit. So
compromise.
so it's
But
50% of the base rate, or 30 to
yes,
okay.
of the base rates
Okay,
per
cool.
month.
Per month. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, that makes sense.
So we've covered your base rate, usage right, exclusivity. Don't do perp, don't do perpetuity.
No.
Now another thing is depending on when they want to pay or when they want the content. So
Hmm.
if they reach out to you today and say, "Oh, we want the content next week,"
Yeah.
pay, charge them a rush fee.
Mhm.
You're stressing me. Usually
Yeah.
it takes me 2 weeks to do this thing, but now you are stressing me. You're
Yeah.
gonna have to pay for that.
Okay, makes
So
sense.
your rush fee usually it just depends. People just eyeball it. You're 15% or
Yeah.
30%. It really depends. But one thing I always say is whatever amount you actually want to collect from the brand, go a bit further.
So they can
So that when they
negotiate.
negotiate, it falls right on where you want.
Makes sense.
And sometimes I worked with brands and I felt I called big money and they didn't negotiate. And I'm like,
Ah,
oh,
that's the worst. That's the
no. That's the
worst.
sign that you are undercharged.
Yeah.
When they don't negotiate, you just know
Mhm.
that you're undercharging
Yeah.
and it's time to up your rates.
Facts.
So really those would be it. There are some, instances where you may have to charge extra for certain things.
What about whitelisting?
Whitelisting is part of usage
Usage?
rights.
Okay.
Yeah, it
Okay.
covers. There's whitelisting. There's blacklisting. Whitelisting is you've posted the content on your page and they want to run it as an ad
Mhm.
through your page. Darklisting is it's not going to be on your page, but for some reason they have a way they do it on the back end where where it still shows your face. I think it even still shows like it's your page,
Yeah.
but you actually don't have to post it on your page.
Yeah.
Charge for that as well.
Please charge, because one thing I've noticed with that is that it actually affects your engage. Like I've noticed that on TikTok, especially when I do a whitelisted ad, my engagement just falls, and I'm
Even
like,
paid partnership, even if
yeah,
they don't like I have a post that did so badly. He
Yeah.
had more comments than posts that did better. But for some reason, the
Yeah.
views were just
Yeah.
TikTok. I don't know. It's just sad.
Yeah. Okay, now let's get into the payment. So now we know how we're charging and everything, but when it comes to payment, I know sometimes this is a problem, okay? See, this is a personal problem that I have with brands. They don't want to pay on time, first of all.
Yeah.
They want to pay you in net 60, which means 60 days
Days after.
after posting, usually, not even 60
It even
days.
depends. Sometimes
Yeah.
it's not 60 days after posting. Sometimes it's 60 days after they got your invoice. And some have a caveat that you cannot send your
Send
invoice until you have sent screenshots for the
analytics.
campaign and
Yeah.
analytics for the campaign. So until the campaign is over. So sometimes that's why I say when people see content creators flexing, you think that oh they are also balling in money, but sometimes they are in debt because they've worked and they can't get paid until 60 days later. Do you,
Yeah.
do you go to the supermarkets and take something and say don't worry I'll pay you 60 days later?
Like,
No,
imagine it's
but
it's actually nuts. Actually, if you
yeah.
think about it, like I have $40,000 of unpaid invoices right
Oh
now.
my god.
Yeah, and it's because like, and this is a good conversation about like how to not go broke. Like, you actually
Yeah.
have to have financial literacy
Yes, you have
to
to
be
be really
to be
careful.
any business owner, but
Yeah.
especially in content creation, it's normal for them to pay you late, and you can implement a late fee into your
Yeah, you
contract.
can.
Do they care?
Do
They
they care?
some of
And
them,
some won't take it. Some will say no. If you
yeah.
implement a late fee, we're not going to work with you. Blah blah
Like,
blah.
yo, this it's a bit rough. So
Yeah.
it's like, as a content creator, yes, you made $20,000 this month. Next month, you may be expecting
Mm,
$20,000. That doesn't mean it's gonna come.
it
So you
doesn't
really
mean.
have to be financially
Yeah.
literate in order to manage your finances and not go like overboard spending your money when you get paid big money this month or you're expecting big money. You need the
Yeah.
money to land in your account
Because
before you
another thing is content creation is a very unstable
industry.
business. Like
Yeah,
this month you might make 40K and
yeah,
next month you make 15.
yeah.
And in the third month you make zero.
Zero.
So you have to manage your money because if you spend the way you spent, maybe the 40K came and you're just spending, spending, spending.
Yeah,
But when it's 15K, you say, okay, 50K is still, let me still spend. But by the third month, when you get zero, you don't have any money to spend. So
yeah,
you have to be very wise
yeah.
with your money, which is why, I always recommend that you don't depend on brand deals
Uh
alone.
huh.
Have multiple streams of income
Yeah.
to save you for those rainy days.
Yeah, for real. And especially I think having recurring streams of income. Like,
Yeah.
if you can secure long-term partnerships with brands instead of one-off
One off.
partnerships,
Yeah.
those are gold. Like last year my podcast, every episode was sponsored. Like, that
Mhm.
was consistent income. I
Yeah.
was going through a breakup. I did not work for months. Like, I didn't post a YouTube
Yeah.
video except for my podcast for months. But because I knew this consistent income was going, I was like, okay, I can breathe a little,
Yeah.
a little,
A little.
because I knew this was coming.
And you
So
still made
yeah,
uh-uh,
we're still,
big
bro.
girl.
3 months. I was like, I was not posting it on YouTube, but
Yeah.
yeah, we thank God. We thank God for the consistent, regular
The
income.
income.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
speaking engagements. That's really helpful.
Yeah.
Okay, so alongside, sorry, I didn't even ask about the payment, but so what does payment typically look like in with influencers? Like,
Yeah. So it depends. Different brands have different, modes of payments and processes.
mhm,
But the most common in the industry is brands paying you net 30. I think net 30 is the most common. Some
mhm.
go as far as net 60, net 90. I think I've even heard of net
One,
180,
yes,
which is
and if
ridiculous.
nobody knows what that means
You'll be paid 180 days after you have created the content. Personally, I feel like if they want to do net 80, at least they should pay you small. Pay me small in the beginning.
wait, now can we take that? I need a break. I need to breathe. 180 means six
Yeah.
months.
Yeah.
So
But it's usually like really huge
deliverables, yeah, yeah,
deliverables.
like a whole camp. I like,
Like
yeah, my friend has done
a
one of
year
those. I
long
think she said it was
campaign.
120, but still, how can we survive?
Yeah, how do you
Especially when you're
survive?
shelling out a lot of money to pay to produce
The
that
content.
content. Nah,
Yeah.
we can't be doing
So it
that.
really depends. But net 30 is usually the
Typical.
typical. When I work on, projects I'm handling outside of agency, I try to do net 15.
Ah,
And
sweet, you
because I
sweet.
feel I understand like the net 30 is a lot. I try to do net 15. And some brands are nice that they pay you upfront.
Yeah,
And some I've even had a brand pay me immediately the content was live. I
they
got
paid you.
an alert.
Yeah,
So some brands are nice like that, but the average is net 30.
yeah.
So 30 days after you create the content or 30 days after you send your invoice. So make sure you send your invoices on time.
That's key. So we have a lot of tips that we've learned
Yeah.
already.
So
So send your invoices on time, because even some brands, some agencies will be like, oh, you haven't sent your this they take an administrative fee when
Mm.
you haven't sent your invoice on time. Yeah, so an agency I'm working with now, they were like, okay, so once the content is live, you have to send your invoice within, I think it was 15 days.
Mm.
If you don't send it in, we charge a agent administrative fee equivalent to 15% of your
Oh my
invoice.
god.
I was like,
Well, I think they're just doing it to
scare
scare
you.
the
Yeah,
influencers to
but I was
send it
just
on time, because sometimes influencers don't send their invoices on time, and it kind of affects the systems in the
mm,
financial team, the
oh,
finance
okay.
team, because there's this influencer, they wrapped up this campaign, and there's this influencer that they still haven't paid, and other campaigns are coming in, so it kind of it
Okay.
causes like chaos.
Please, who are these
But
people not sending their invoices? Me? I am sending the day
but
I
the thing
finished
is,
that
it's
work.
easy to forget if you are getting a lot of deals
Yeah,
and you don't have systems in place to help you.
yeah,
It's actually easy to
yeah,
forget that. Oh, and sometimes they send invoices, but you don't remember to follow up.
yeah. For me, I, oops. For me, I'm a very forgetful person. So what I do is I create the invoice once I sign that deal.
Mm,
It doesn't mean I'll send it to you, but I'll create it so it's in my system.
mm.
I use Wave, by the way, if anyone
Yeah, I use
wants to
Wave
know.
too.
Yeah, and it's free as well.
Yeah,
And you can use Wave, and you can schedule. You can either schedule it out, or you can just keep it there, and it'll be in draft mode until you're ready.
yeah.
But because it's there, I will never forget.
And Wave reminds you when it's due.
Yeah. So, what I do is I send it to them 14 days before, 7 days before, 3 days before, day of, 3 days after, 7 days. I like it's annoying if you're not paying
Really
me on
is.
time.
It's
Yeah.
beast mode. I
Yeah.
love
And
it.
because it's not me having to send it, it's automatic. It's
Yeah.
just like, I love it. I really love it.
Honestly,
Yeah.
automatic systems will save your life.
Yeah.
So those are the things. And payment terms, you should also read your payment terms
Mhm.
in your contract,
Yeah.
because some people actually have no idea of what net 30 is. Some people don't even know that the net 30 is not after the content is
Yeah.
done, it's after the campaign is over. And some campaigns might take 3 months for them to finish. And if your own post was at the beginning of the 3 months, that means you have to wait till the campaign is over, and then 30 days after that.
Can
So
you
make sure you
imagine?
read it,
Yeah.
because you can negotiate it. That's
Yeah.
another thing. There's nothing in your contract that is non-negotiable.
Hmm.
At least ask.
Yeah.
They might tell you, oh, we usually don't do this,
Yeah.
but at least you never know until you ask.
Yeah, I always
So
ask. Like I
yeah,
always ask for money up front, first of all. Some of them say no, they're not able
some
to
say
do
no,
that.
but if you don't ask, you never
Yeah.
know.
Or some I usually ask for 50% upfront, 50% after. And then one brand was like, "Oh, we only do 10% upfront, 90% after." And I was like, "Okay, it's better than,
Yeah, it's
it's at
better
least
than
something."
nothing.
Yeah, cuz
So, especially if it's a long-term partnership, I always advise to negotiate and ask for some money up front,
yeah.
because waiting 30 days after after all the whole 1 year. Imagine it's 1 year. You finish 1 year. You started it in January of 2022.
Yeah.
You finished it December of 2022.
Yeah.
Then you have to wait 30 days after that. So
No, no.
all the work you did in 2022, you don't get paid until February of 2023.
Absolutely not. Absolutely
Absolute
not.
not.
And then what about how we get paid? So is it by what are the different methods that content creators get paid through? Is it check
Yeah,
or
every brand is different. Some brands use check, some do bank transfer. So they will ask you for all the bank transfer details. Your bank usually gives you that, or is in your bank app most of the time.
Mhm.
Some brands are so low stress, they'll just send it to you through PayPal,
Yeah,
or they'll just send you through Interact and things like
e-transfer,
that.
yeah.
But most brands usually do bank transfer.
Mhm.
That's usually the most
Yeah,
common.
that's experience as well. And for those who don't know, so if you're in Canada, like I would say start up a business bank account if you're going to be an influencer, just so that all the money that you're getting from influencing is going into one separate account from your
And
personal
you can keep
money.
track of
Yeah,
it.
it's easier to
Yeah.
keep track. And during tax time, which we'll get into a bit later,
Ah.
it'll be easier for you. And so the ways that you mentioned, so there's checks, there are wire transfers, there are e-transfers, there's PayPal,
Yeah.
there are a bunch of different ways to get paid. And sometimes there are fees associated with getting paid
Mhm.
as well. And in my experience, the brand is like, yeah, we don't cover the fees that are
Yeah,
associated with
and I
it.
don't like that.
Yeah, I know. I
Please
don't like it
cover
either.
it. Like
I
you're
know.
paying me for my work, not
Yeah.
I think the most annoying one was when I worked with a brand in the US for UGC. This was even before UGC became so big, before they started calling it UGC. And I'd finished the campaign, I had gotten paid for my work. And then maybe like 3 months later, I got a something in the mail from FedEx
Customs.
Customs.
Nah.
I'm like, no way. I can't. It was a ridiculous amount of money. I'm like, the brand has probably even forgotten that we ever did this campaign, and
That's
now I have to pay duties for it.
yeah.
I paid it sure because I didn't have the
It's
energy to
stress.
like go to. I think it wasn't so much. I think it was maybe $25
But
or
still, it
something.
shouldn't.
But still,
Yeah.
it shouldn't be coming out of my
Yeah.
pocket.
Also,
So
yeah. Also, things like wire transfers. Wire transfers actually cost you $14 for each transfer you
you
receive.
receive.
So it's not like a small
Yeah.
amount. Of course, if it's a huge deal, $14 doesn't seem like much, but still, it's $14 coming out of your money that
Mm.
like why should it have to come out? So
You are not
yeah,
even charging enough before.
yeah,
Now
right.
they are removing.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So now I want to get into the contracts. And I know you mentioned that a lot of influencers don't even read their contracts and things. So, what things should we be looking for in our contracts just to make sure we're not going broke?
So some of the things we've talked about, like your payment terms, when you be paid, how much you be paid, because sometimes they might make a mistake.
Yeah.
Maybe in the email while you were negotiating, you negotiated 5,000, and when they were writing the contract, they wrote 3,000. There might be mistakes, and when it's time to pay, they go by what is on the
In the contract.
contract. So check your payment terms, when you be paid, what time, how much you be paid. Check your usage rights. Did they sneak it in there that they will have, usage rights to your content? Sometimes there's also organic usage and paid usage. So
Mm,
organic usage just means, oh, we'll just post it on our page, and that's okay. I think if you are paying me to create content, I think it's okay if
yeah.
you just repost it on your page. But check for paid usage. So that means maybe they want to use it in sponsored ads, in newsletters or a billboard,
Yeah.
whatever. They usually specify where they plan to use the content, or they will tell you if we need the content, we'll come back. They have a way they put that in the contract.
Mhm.
You should also check for the exclusivity. They usually have it there, how long they don't want you to work with a competitor brand or any other brands in the industry. And some even go a step further to, mention the actual names of the brands that they don't want you to work with for
Yeah.
that period of
So
time.
make sure I was just gonna say a way that you can go broke is by violating that
Yeah, by
exclusivity.
violating that.
Because then they're like, oh, we're not paying you, right?
Yeah, they can
Yeah.
say we're not paying you, or they can sue you for
Even worse.
yeah, they can see you for that.
um,
And to be honest, to the brands too, because if you tell me you're going to use my content for 3 months and it's 6 months after I'm still seeing you using my content,
mm,
you the brand can go broke, but that's more money for me because
yeah,
I'm going to charge you for the last extra 3 months that you've been using my
yeah,
content.
yeah,
So you should also check for your deliverables, ensure that it's the specific deliverables you agreed to
yeah,
that's in the contract. Because if what is in the contract is 5 videos, but what you actually agree to is 3, they are only going by what's in the contract. So
yeah.
basically, the contract is the final say.
Literally the final say. And one thing I think what one thing you mentioned is they make mistakes. And
Yeah.
one thing I noticed in my experience is that they're just copy and pasting the contract from a previous influencer and then
Yes.
editing it with your
Yeah,
details.
yeah, that's it. Nobody
Yeah,
has, because
yeah,
most contracts are like 4 or 5
yeah.
pages. Nobody
Even
has the
longer.
time to write all of that.
Yeah,
So they are just specific places. Like in our heads, we know the specific parts that need to change,
yeah.
and we just change that. But
Yeah.
it's pretty easy to forget
Yeah, like it's
some
happened to me
things.
where
Yeah,
they forgot and they added all the deliverables for this other influencer. And imagine if I had signed that, I would have been doing so much more
yeah,
than was actually
yeah.
required of me. So I would say, and also I would say, look at your contract every single time that it's sent back and forth
Yes,
because you send it to me, I say these changes, I send it back to them.
they
They
do
say they
it.
make the changes,
Changes.
and
It
sometimes they
comes
just have
back.
not made the changes and
Or
taking it
sometimes there's
back.
something else.
Yes. They'll say, "Oh yeah, we took out the usage, but we added this," and I'm like, "Oh, like," but they don't tell you. Sorry, they just
Yeah,
do it,
they
and
just do
so you
it.
have to read the whole contract, all
Read the
five
whole
pages,
thing.
every
And
single
sometimes they
time.
use words that you don't understand.
Yeah,
So Google it. If Google doesn't make sense, reach out to your friends.
yeah,
Almost everyone I know has a friend that is a lawyer,
yeah,
even though it's not an influencer lawyer.
yeah,
But some of those terms are they cut across in the law industry.
yeah.
So ask your friends, friends that are lawyers, friends that have been in the influencer industry for a while. Google them, Google some of those words. There are some influencers that create content just to
Just for
break
that.
down
Yeah,
those words in your contract. There are
yeah,
also some contracts that have things like, oh, if something happens when you post the content, if a user wants to sue the company, you take
Oh
the
yeah.
blame,
Them
not
liability, something about liability.
yeah, you
Yeah.
take the blame, not the brand. There's a way they put it in there. Also have to read that because I'm not the one creating. I'm not the one making
I bet.
the product. Why am I the one,
Yeah.
carrying the brunt for it? So
Yeah.
you really read every single thing because they have a way of sneaking in those things. And if you don't know, you don't know. You just,
Yeah.
oh, okay, it looks nice. Ah, they're even paying me. Something I would have said for free anyway. Let me
Yeah.
just sign it. And
Yeah.
once you sign it, that's
Yeah.
it. You should also read, if you have a manager, you should also read the terms of contract that regards having a manager,
Mm.
because in some contracts they put it there that they'll ask you if you want to get the money directly or if you want the money to go through your manager. If
Mm.
you want the money to go through your manager, some contracts have a place where you sign that the money should go to your manager.
Mm, good to
Now,
know.
if your manager is an excusable type of manager,
Mm.
maybe you guys were okay at the time you signed the contract, but later on something
Oh
happens.
yeah.
Now, I'll give you a case. There was this really huge case that happened in the US a couple of months back where there was this guy, I think his name is Josh Popkin or something
Oh, I
like that.
saw that.
Yeah, he had an agency, he signed a lot of influencers, and he was the one being paid by the brand,
I
and
saw
then he would
that.
give the influencers like
A
2,000 of a ridiculous
tiny
amount. So I think
percentage
what he was doing is he was the one signing the contracts on behalf of the influencers, but I think he was making another contract
with
for the
the
influencer
influencer.
themselves to sign.
Yeah.
So on the maybe the brand wanted to pay them $5,000. He would tell them, "Oh, the brand wants to pay you 2,000,"
Mhm.
and then they would agree. But the thing is, now he has 3,000 to himself, and you also have to pay him 20% of
The
your
2000.
2,000 for his agency fee because managers do take a certain percentage.
Yeah.
So look at how much money
You've
he's
lost.
making, and he had done that for years in
Criminal
the
behavior.
US until one influencer found out.
Yeah.
She just, "Ah, why are these brands paying me this ridiculous amount of money?"
Yeah.
And then she called
The
one of them
brand
because she actually
directly.
had a prior relationship with them, and those ones said, "Never, I've never offered you that kind of money."
Yeah.
And that was how
I saw that whole
everything
video.
became. So I know somebody that was actually signed to him,
Ah.
and when it was time to get paid, that was when that news broke.
Mm.
So we tried to get in touch with her directly, and they found a way to sort it out.
Okay,
But
good.
now the guy is in running, nobody has heard from him and everything like
Yeah.
that. So you just have to be careful. Make sure that, which is another point. Make sure that your manager has your
Yeah.
best interest at
And I'll
heart.
try to link the videos in the description box and in the show notes because I listened to the whole story. I was like, wow. And the craziest part is that woman wasn't even signed to him. The one that exposed
Yeah.
everything, she wasn't even signed to him. He was just they had a relationship and he was like, oh, I'll send you deals all the time.
Yeah.
But he was sending her deals and then not paying her the full
Full
deal
money.
or like
Like
even
she
like
lost so
80% of
much money.
yeah.
And apparently when they did all the research, they found that I think he had even been charged by the states
Oh yeah.
for something before. So the
Yeah.
guy is a criminal.
That goes into okay, so that goes into management. Like when we're looking for a manager. Okay, actually, when do we need a manager? Because right now I don't have one. Someone actually reached out to me the other day asking if they could manage me. So I have a meeting with them sometime next week.
Okay.
But yeah, like what should we be looking for in a manager? When do we need a manager? How does that payment structure work? Like,
Yeah. So two things. Number one, if you are getting a manager that's not signed to an agency, it's not signed to a bigger company,
mhm,
you have to be very careful. You have to do your research because if you don't know them before, if you don't have a relationship with them, you can't exactly vouch for them. Like
yeah,
this person is just messaging me and you say you want to manage me. Who have you managed?
yeah,
What experiences do you have? And they can always lie, but that's where you have to do your research. But if it's a company or an agency, it's easier to find a track record.
yeah,
So if you Google and see all the other influencers they are managing or they've managed in the past, you can reach out to some of those influencers and ask them, when you worked with this agency, how was it like? How was your experience? And more often than not, influencers are usually happy to share. So, like, I know an agency that a friend of mine signed to, and for a year, they weren't bringing her any deals,
mm.
but she was still pitching herself to brands. And when the brands come, because she's signed to that agency
She
and
has to
they
give them.
negotiate the deals,
Ah,
they still get percentage.
I feel like if I bring in the deal, I should get the whole thing.
Well,
But she's paying them for like
they
basically
still
this.
negotiate.
Yeah,
They still do the negotiations. But please, negotiation is just a couple of emails back and forth,
yeah.
and I'm paying you 20%.
That's
What else did you do?
that is insane.
What else did you do?
Yeah,
So you really have to be, and you also read whatever contract they want to give to you. Ask them a lot of questions,
yeah,
like if how often will I be paid? Because sometimes they get the payment and then they give it to you.
yeah.
Will I be paid every month? Will I be paid? How many percentage are you taking?
Mhm.
20% is like the industry standard. 15 to 20%
That's
is
a
the
lot of
industry
money.
standard.
I can't
But I've
imagine.
seen some that charge 25.
Wow.
So
Like if they're getting you $1 million deals, sure, 25%.
but
Even
some of
though,
them don't even do
even though,
anything.
yeah, no.
Like oh gosh. Some of them don't do anything because I've seen influencers that sign to agencies for months and they are not getting the brand agency has never come to say, oh, this brand wants to work with
Yeah,
you and bring the deal to you.
it's like,
But each time a deal comes to you, they want to take 20%.
yeah.
So at the end of the day, is it really beneficial to you? So
Mhm.
I would say before you get a manager, I think you should get to the point where the deals are becoming too much for you to manage
Okay.
by yourself.
Mhm.
Because as a content creator, you are doing admin work yourself, you are pitching yourself, finance, everything, you are doing them yourself. But if you are getting to that point where it's hard for you to manage, maybe you are getting 15 inbound deals every week, is keeping
It's a
track of
lot.
all of that is a lot. And if you also feel like, because personally I feel like you can always hire an intern or an assistant
That's
to
true.
help. But if maybe you've hired the assistant and it's still overwhelming, then get the agent. I also think there are some agencies that have way more benefits than just negotiating or just bringing
Mm.
you brand deals. If you have the opportunity to sign to that kind of agency,
What
then
opportunities?
fine.
Like
So,
going
for
to events,
example,
PR.
PR events you can get yourself. You don't need an agency.
Okay.
But maybe they have connections with maybe Amazon Fashion, for example, and now
Oh,
you can do a collaboration with Amazon Fashion, like
that's true.
Rennie X Amazon Fashion
Manifesting
purple
it.
dress
Yeah.
collection or something like
Yeah,
that,
it's
and
loading.
you know that they have that relationship and you can capitalize on that relationship, so it's a win-win for both of you.
Mm.
You can do that. So
Okay.
look at their track record and ask
Mm.
a lot of
Yeah.
questions. So
Yeah.
those would be the things to look out for.
Okay, because I had a lot of people message me saying, "Okay, I'm just starting off. Should I get a manager?" And I'm like, first of all,
Yeah.
I don't know who's gonna manage you when you're just starting off,
Yeah.
and second of all, like it does. I don't think it makes sense to be. You're not even getting deals. So I get that you want the manager to help you get the deals, but I think it kind of works the opposite way, where you
Yeah.
start getting deals and then you
Yeah.
get a
Some
manager
agencies even have
minimum.
a minimum.
Yeah,
If you are not earning up to a certain amount of money,
yeah, they won't
they
even
won't
talk to
they
you.
won't take you. They
Which
won't.
I understand. It's a lot of work on their end
Yeah,
too.
it
If
is.
they're a good agency, like they're gonna be pitching you
Yeah.
regularly. They're gonna be even some of them help you with their content strategy and stuff like that
Yeah,
to help you
exactly.
grow. So if they are that kind of agency and you're not even putting, why would they invest in you? You know,
You.
you haven't even invested in yourself. Come
Self.
on.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a few more. Well, yeah, okay, we have a few more questions. So once, can you tell us about some of the biggest deals that you've seen? I know you saw the 45K one for TikTok, but what any others? Because I really want people to see this
In
money
terms
you
of
made.
like specific influencers or like campaigns in general.
Either, yeah. Tell us the largest campaigns you've worked on.
Oh,
Uh,
child. I've seen campaigns with like $500,000 budgets,
wow.
$1 million budgets.
What?
Um, where and usually those kind of budgets they have influencers for all the tiers, so they are hitting
Wow.
everybody are hitting awareness, consideration, everything. So usually those brands that have big budgets, they want the big influencers, they want the smaller ones, they want the micros, they want
Everyone.
every influencer that cuts across,
Mm.
and they have the budget. So it's easier for the agency to flex a bit.
Mhm.
And it's also good for the agency because agencies usually take some percentage of the budget.
Yeah. Sorry, can we talk about how that works? So
Yeah,
how does so they say, okay, we have $500,000. Is it agency gets 20% and use the 80% for influencers, or how does
it
that work?
depends.
Okay.
So some agencies do that. They do 80%. They take 20% or 25% of the budget, and then the remaining 80% is for the influencer.
Mhm.
Some do whatever your budget is, calculate what is 20% of that. That's our own money.
Mm.
Plus your whatever your budget is. They won't that means they're not touching your budget for their own fee.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just that they are charging you 20% of that.
Okay.
So it's your budget
Plus
plus
20%.
20% of that as agency fee. So
Okay.
it really depends.
Mhm.
Every agency has the way that they run their.
So I think that's why this is key. It's important to ask them for what their budget is
Yeah,
when they
that's
reach
why you
out
should
to you.
ask, because
If they, because
there's a lot of money.
yeah, if they come to me
on
and
the
they're like,
table.
oh, they ask for my rates and I say, oh, it's $5,000 for this, blah blah blah, and then their budget for me was $10,000,
Yeah.
for example.
If you don't
Are they
ask, you
keeping
don't
this
get.
5,000 for themselves, or how does that?
Yeah.
Or maybe find another influencer.
Sometimes,
Yeah.
depending on the needs of the campaign,
Mhm.
they might use that extra money to find an extra influencer.
Wow.
But if they've already gotten all the influencers they need, they don't return it to the brand.
Yeah, they keep it.
So that means that's on top of their 20% that they removed.
So guys,
initially.
please be guided.
They keep
okay?
it. That's why you need to ask questions.
Always
I've seen
ask.
influencers that, and usually no brand or no agency would tell you the exact amount
Yeah.
that they have.
Yeah.
So if they have $10,000 for you, they usually go with the lowest amount possible that makes sense.
Yeah.
So they'll tell you, oh, we have 4K.
Mhm.
If you don't ask, oh, 4K it is, they
Yeah.
keep the 6K.
Yeah.
But if you ask and say, oh, okay, no, I don't want 4K, I want 6K. They'll say, what if we give you 5.5?
Yeah.
If you say no, no, it has to be 60. Okay, let's add. I swear, this is only $200. This is only $200 that is left. I only
Yeah.
have 5.7. Will you take 5.7?
Yeah.
Take 5.7. The brand really loves you. They really want to work with you. Take 5.7.
Mhm.
If you insist, and they now say, they look at your content and they're like, she's actually really good. We really want her.
Yeah.
Then they give you your
That's what I've been
6K.
doing. Okay. Yeah.
So the negotiation is all a game.
Yeah.
Honestly, negotiation is a game. I tell people that's my best part when I was working at an agency. That was my best part.
Yeah.
Because I'm just flexing with the numbers.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of agencies have calculators that they use to calculate.
Yeah.
I hate those calculators.
I know, me too.
Because
And then when they come to me to justify, oh, we
Yeah,
can't pay this
because-
because our calculator says this.
yeah, because
and-
they are calculating based on
Average.
views that you are seeing.
Mhm.
But is the algorithm, you're getting the views based on the algorithm. It doesn't put into account how much time, energy you use in creating the content, and even the engagement of your community. Because you might have just 5,000 views, but your community really believes
Yeah.
in everything that you say.
Mhm.
They don't put all of that into account. They just calculate based on the numbers that
Yeah.
they're seeing, which I don't like.
And I think it's important to be able to say no to these brands.
Yeah.
If of course that's like a financial privilege to be able to say no, but like
Yeah.
sometimes you have to walk away if they're taking you for idiot.
To
Like
be honest, even before saying no, play
Yeah.
the game a bit.
oh yeah, always play the game first.
Always play the game.
Always.
And always start high.
Yes.
So that when they say shoot for the stars or
Land
how
on
they
the
say
moon
it,
or
and you
something.
land on the moon.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If 5K is what you want, start from like 8
Yeah.
or 9. By the time you fight, you probably land on 5 or even land on 6.
Yeah.
So you just have to
It's a-
know how to play the game and
Yeah.
find ways to make them feel like we are getting value. Like
Mhm.
that tip I gave earlier, where you give them more deliverables and say, "Oh, I'll give you all of this, and you just give me the money." If okay, she's giving us more deliverables now, our product is going to reach more eyes.
Yeah.
So it's just a game. You just have to play the game.
Oh, game. Okay. And then what about taxes for I know this is going to be a long episode. So
Taxes?
yeah.
Oh my
So
god.
one thing to help you not go broke trying to become an influencer, I would say you need to put away money for taxes. And I think this is a big thing I see with people, even any small business owner actually. It's like say I get a $10,000 campaign, I accept that money,
Yeah.
I go and spend the whole $10,000.
Oh, sorry for you.
Sis, bro, person. That is not how you're supposed to
Yeah.
do things. Like that is a recipe for disaster, actually, because what happens is the CRA or the IRS, whichever country you're in, they are taking their 20% or 30% of
Yeah.
they're taking
Which
income
is something you need
taxes.
to think of,
Yeah.
especially if you want to get a manager. Because you have to remember that they're taking 20% of everything you earn. And when it's tax season, you also have to pay back another 20 to 30% thereabouts.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, you are really only going home with 50% of everything that you're earning.
Yeah.
Except if you are really getting a lot of deals. So per volume, it makes sense.
Mhm.
But the more money you make, the more taxes you still pay
Yeah.
either way.
Yeah.
So you really just have to weigh your options.
Yeah, for real. Yeah. And that is, again, it's important to know it's important to charge what you're worth,
Yeah.
because again, the whole money is not yours. Again, I feel like a lot of influencers think that whole
Yeah.
$10,000 is theirs, but
It's
it's
not.
not. Like, I know I put my income for the past 3 months, and I was like, oh, I made 50K this 3 months. That 50K is not mine.
Yeah, you made 25.
Yeah, like literally. Well, I don't have a manager, thankfully,
Yeah.
but yeah, the 30% of that is not mine, and I put it
Yeah.
in this account, and I know that let me
Yeah.
not spend this money. But yeah, I think a lot of people forget that. Okay, so I guess there are a lot of questions about how to start becoming a content creator, but I think we'll get into that more in questions, because I thought I had a lot of people ask about that. But what are some of the biggest mistakes that you see like new influencers making when they do start?
Oh, so many mistakes. I think the first one I mentioned earlier of not networking, not
Yeah.
asking questions. It's like you want to be a doctor and you just buy lab coats and go into a hospital. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Ask questions, set up calls with people. I think networking is can be a bit hard for you, especially if you're like an introvert and you don't really know how to talk to people. But you just have to try. I always recommend start with engaging with people's content. If they see
Ah,
your name pop up a lot of times, you start your relationship in the
yes.
comment section
Yeah,
and
that's how Tosi and I know each other,
yeah, and
just from
then
connecting on
yes,
Instagram. Yeah.
reply their stories. Before you know it, now you're in your DMs, you're,
Exactly.
exchanging ideas and things like that. So networking is a very big one.
Mhm.
Um, Also not knowing how to negotiate is a big one. Another thing is taking every free or unpaid work.
Yes.
So when I just started, I was like, let me just use it to build portfolio.
Yeah.
Since your portfolio is already thick, your portfolio is already heavy.
No more free, and
No more
actually,
free work
and in Canada, and in the States, you're supposed to. So every free product you get, you're actually supposed to pay taxes on the
on it.
value of it. So
Yeah,
if somebody sends me something worth $100, I'm supposed to say $100 of income has come into my
come in.
pocket, and that's
Yeah,
supposed to add, and you're supposed to pay taxes on that.
on
Yeah.
that.
So if you would normally charge $1,000 for the video, and you're expecting, oh, let me take this free $100 product, you're paying to make that
And it's
video.
even one thing to just accept PR. That's one thing. But actually accepting PR with deliverables,
Yes, please.
and those kind of deliverables, they always have the shortest time. We are going to send it to you. We need the video in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Free work. And
Yeah,
you're even telling me the
like
time you want me to post it.
y'all should accept
Nah.
whatever you're gonna get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yes, if you're starting out, you may have to accept some free products to build up your portfolio and just get things going.
Mhm.
But after some time,
That.
and you are the only one that can say when the time is right. But
Yeah.
after some time, you should, stop accepting free work, especially when it comes with deliverables.
Yeah.
Just say no. I'm currently prioritizing paid collaborations. Do you
Mhm.
have a budget for this?
Mhm.
And to be honest, yes, saying no might hurt because you will say no a lot.
Yeah.
But
More
in the
than you say
long
yes.
run, like, is it a good use of your time?
Mhm.
You can use that. Honestly, if you're using that time to sleep or watch Netflix, you're better off.
No, for real
You're better off,
though.
especially if, like, someone like me now, I kind of have anxiety when I'm creating paid sponsorship. Like, oh my god, is the content good?
Mm,
Is it doing well? Oh, when I post it, everything has to be perfect. Why am I going through all of that stress when I'm not getting paid?
yeah.
I can as well sleep. So so you have to look at that, network with people, ask questions, ask the brand questions when they
Mhm.
reach out to you. Ask nothing, there is no stupid question.
Yeah.
Ask the brand every single thing. If you don't understand, what does this one mean? Can you explain? Ask. We talked about not accepting free work. Check your spam emails
Oh
because a
yes.
lot of deals actually
This
go to spam.
I've missed some stuff because
Yes,
it's in my
they go to
spam.
spam. And I think the last one would be to be very professional.
Yeah.
If a brand is reaching out to you, maybe in the course of communications, you don't like something, there are ways to say it.
Yeah.
They're not like you perfect
Yeah.
this, and you
Don't
just
react based on anger.
yeah, don't
Yeah.
be angry. Like cool off,
Take time.
take some time, and try to go above and beyond. Even
Mhm.
though they might just be paying you $500,
Mhm.
but if they don't see value for that, they won't come back. And
Yeah.
other brands will not come.
Yeah, I actually recently accepted a low deal, which like way lower than I would ever accept normally. But it's about something I would honestly talk about
Yeah.
regardless. And it's something that is they're a small business. I don't really work with small business anymore because I don't have money, but I accepted that deal. It was like $550 or whatever. And for small brands, I don't even charge them much. I charge them like 1,500 for a reel or something. And they were like, "Yeah, we only have 550. Will you accept it?" I was like, "Sure, whatever," because I like the brand anyways. I've worked in them before. And then they got so much traction from that one video that then they tripled the budget for my next video, and then they
Oh,
asked me to come for 2 speaking engagements, which are triple that.
wow.
And I'm like, I just made 10K off of accepting this
Yeah.
one little $550 deal. So
Yeah. So
I would,
just be professional. Like
yes,
if
always,
the way you would treat a brand that pays you 500 or will pay you 5K, treat the one that will pay you 500 because
yes.
you just never know. And the industry is very funny. News.
It,
Cha
people,
cha 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 cha.
people
People like
chat, yeah,
like I've seen people that, oh, I've worked with that girl in my last agency. She's so rude. She's so
yeah.
this. She's so
Let's
blah blah
not work
blah.
with her.
And it's so funny as human beings. We usually don't give people second chances.
Yeah,
Maybe she just had a bad day.
yeah,
Maybe she was in a bad mood that day. But that person already said that. And if that person is at the decision table of putting your name down for a brand deal, she's like, she was rude that time. Well, I don't have stress for rude people.
yeah.
They just
And
cancel you
yeah,
and look for someone else.
professionalism is key. And when you're an entrepreneur, you really have to just like you are the business. So everything you
Yeah,
do is a reflection of the business.
of
Even
you.
what you like the ways let's talk about some ways you can go broke by posting things that tarnish your personal brand
Yeah,
online. Like I know you are a person,
you
you
have
want to
to be
post whatever you
careful
want,
of the
but
things
these
you
you know,
say.
cancel culture is very real,
Yeah,
right? So I would say posting things, your unprofessional email. I think you mentioned this
yeah.
before.
Like if your name is Tosin, just put your name. Like my email is detosolani@gmail.com. If I ever change that, it will still be my name.
Yeah.
Then don't do sexyomoti25@gmail.com, please. This is not to
Screaming.
go.
No, for real. Like, be for real. Be for real. I see it a lot, and I'm like, guys,
Yeah,
please, you want
I
deals or
actually
not?
I've actually not put some people's names,
Yeah,
and
because
this is petty
how
of
can you
me.
find an influencer that's their email and you're like, hey,
And this
brand,
is
let's
so
work?
petty of me, but
Yeah,
immediately I said, I'm like, this person is not serious.
no,
She's not ready for
they're
for
not.
this industry
I
because
I
why
agree.
is why
It's
is
actually
that
it's
your
actually
email?
free to create an email. Please,
Yeah.
yeah, do better, please.
So
Yeah,
another thing would be not putting
email.
your email and your location in your bio
Yes,
because there are some campaigns that are location specific. Maybe they are looking for people in Canada, but you don't put it there. And oh, our content is so cute. Let's reach out to her, and then they find out that you are not there,
yeah,
or you're like, oh, I need someone in Toronto, but I see this guy. I don't know where she is.
yeah,
They don't want to message you and ask you, oh, girl, are you in Toronto? That's a
yeah.
waste of their
Make it
time
as easy for them as
as
possible.
possible.
Yeah.
The same thing goes for your email. A lot of people that are, at this other side, they use their laptops to work.
Mhm.
And so that email button that Instagram usually has on mobile, you can't see it on
On
your on
desktop.
desktop. So if they don't see your email in your bio and they don't find any software to pull up your email, they just move on and move to the next person.
Yeah.
You try to make
You're
the
blocking your own bag
process,
at that
yeah,
point.
make the
Yeah.
process as easy as possible for them. And lastly, don't be a messy person online.
Yeah,
Like
for
there's no reason we should be seeing you under Insta blog comment section, writing nasty things about people.
no, for real, your
Like
personal brand is
it's
everything. Use close
everything.
friends if you want to be messy. Even then, though, some people can expose you on your close
Even then,
friends.
some people
Yeah.
can, but at least if it's close friends, say something that you know that if it comes out, you
It's not
can
that big a
defend it with your
deal.
chest.
Yeah.
But they shouldn't be seeing you, other established, oh, you are a fat, like you have to be very careful because right now the internet is a very volatile place. Like
Extremely.
something you said 5 years ago, someone can dig it up
Come back and bite
and
you.
it can come back and bite you. So
Yeah.
you have to be very careful,
Yeah.
professional, mind your business. Like you don't always have to have an opinion
No, for
about everything.
real.
If you don't talk, nobody will know that what you are
Yeah.
saying does not make sense.
Yeah.
Sometimes just some conversations should be in the group chats with your
And
friends.
that's it. Not
And that's it.
online. Yeah.
They shouldn't come out.
The only thing I comment on
Yeah.
is Love is Blind. Everything else is not my
Yeah.
business.
And be
Yeah.
consistent. Oh my god, there's so
Yeah.
much. Be consistent.
Yeah.
um, be consistent with your messaging and your brand as well. If you want to be known in the finance sector, for example, but all you post is food, only food brands are going to reach out to you, and then
Yeah.
you be complaining, why is TD Bank not reaching out to me?
Yeah.
But you've not posted anything. So there's this thing I say that you have to not just be an expert in your field, but do it for a considerate amount of time
Yeah.
that you are considered an expert by people watching from outside.
Mhm.
So, for example, you are complaining, oh, brands are not reaching out to me. I have 60,000 followers. But if they call up one of your followers and say, oh, can you tell me
What?
what is this person's content about? And the person just like, oh, I just like
Yeah.
today she does finance, tomorrow she does clinical. But they can't exactly say
Yeah.
in concrete terms what kind of content do you create.
What is your personal brand,
So
right?
exactly, your
Yeah.
personal brand is non-existent.
Mm.
So we'll just okay. I think we just don't see ourselves
Mhm.
on her page. We don't see
Yeah.
ourselves in her brand.
Exactly. You
So
want the brands to be able to see
to see
themselves. They want to be.
themselves,
They
yeah,
basically want to say that you can perfectly integrate. They can perfectly integrate with your
integrate
content.
into
It's
your
not going to look
story.
out of
Mm,
line when they put on when you make a ad for them. It's like
yeah,
something that's natural, seamless, and it make your audience won't be like, "What is this? I'm not buying this."
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay. Well, I feel like we learned a lot. This episode could literally go on for an hour more, but I think we should wrap up at this point. If you all like this episode, please make sure you share it on Instagram, on Twitter, on TikTok,
Everywhere.
everywhere. And make sure you tag at the Tosin Olaniyi. I'll make sure I leave her handle below, and at Don't Go Broke Trying, and at Exo Runny. All of the handles, okay? Tag
Everything.
us. We want to reshare. But the last question I have for you is, if you have one piece of advice to make sure that we don't go broke trying to become influencers, what would that piece of advice be?
It would be to ask questions.
I like
Ask
that.
questions. Reach out to as many people as you can
Yeah.
and ask questions.
Yeah, it'll help you a lot.
Yeah.
I should tell the story. Sorry, it's getting long, but when I first quit my job, a brand reached out to me and they offered me, or they asked me what my rates were. At that point, I didn't really. I had maybe 10K followers, maybe 7K. I don't even know, and I didn't know what to charge. I said $650 for their TikTok that they wanted from me. Okay, and whatever. Then they ghosted me. Okay, I was like, cool, whatever. I come my someone follows me and they were asked we were just talking. She was telling me she works in influencer marketing. I said, oh, what do you think I should be charging for my reels? She's like, 5K at least. And I was like, wait, what? I just told them 600. They came back to me 3 months later and they said, okay, we're ready to work with you now. Please tell us your rates. I said, $5,000 for this for this.
Yeah.
And they were like, and they said, oh, they screenshotted my old message. Oh, 3 months ago you
Well,
said. I
yesterday's
said,
price is not today's
price
price.
went up. Okay, baby, price went up. But I just say that because if I had never asked this girl,
Yeah,
I would
you never
probably
know.
I would still be charging very
Yeah.
little money. So
And sorry, another thing to add to that is every industry is different and every
yeah,
influencer is different.
yeah,
Rennie could charge 5K for 10,000 followers. Doesn't mean that you
yeah,
can charge 5K
yeah,
for 10,000 followers because you have to look at so many things. What's the quality of your followers? That's
yeah.
another thing. Does it really fit into their campaign?
Your engagement
What's your
levels.
engagement rate? What's the kind of community you have? What's the quality of your content? So there's so much that goes into everybody's rates
Yeah.
and also the industry. Finance is known to charge
Higher.
way higher than other industries.
Yeah.
So that's why I say ask questions
Yeah.
because the person you probably asked has experience
yeah.
in finance.
Mhm.
But if another influencer that was beauty, for example, it's so sad because I create beauty content, but it's just the truth.
Yeah.
If someone in the beauty industry comes and asks her the same question with the same amount of followers, she might not say 5K.
No, she wouldn't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Wow. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. I really enjoyed it. And I feel like I learned a lot from this. And I'm going to go check my contracts again.
I'm
And read
glad.
if someone wants to find you and learn more about you, can you tell us where they could find you?
Sure. You can find me on Instagram at the Tosin Olaniyi. You can find me on TikTok at Tosin Olaniyi. I'm also on YouTube at the Tosin Olaniyi. I'm starting a new YouTube channel
Mhm.
to talk about everything about influencer marketing, and it's called The Influencer Godmother.
Okay.
I might
love
change it
that.
before then, but that's what it is now.
Whatever it is, we'll make sure to leave it in the
So
description.
make sure you follow me on Instagram and TikTok. At least I would always announce there anytime I have a new video.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you so much. She has great content. If you love beauty, if you love influencer tips, if you love skincare, I would say Tosin's the plug. Like, look
I
at my
just wanna
skin, guys.
laugh.
I be using her products. Look at my skin. It's
Oh,
skinny. Yeah.
thank
So
you.
thank you so much for coming on again. And everyone, please make sure you subscribe to the podcast on whatever podcast platform you're listening on. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel that we have, and make sure you share this on your Instagram story, as I said. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.